Thank you, folks, for joining us for this JMC webinar on JMC by the Numbers. It's November 21st, 2024. My name is Paul Freed. I am the lead of JMC training and sales at JMC. I've been with JMC for 20 years. I used to be a teacher in the Twin Cities, and now I own a small farm in Southeast Minnesota. So I work on that farm. We got goats and llamas. We sell kombucha on the weekends. And then I do this to help pay the bills. And also, I just love working with schools, showing them how to use JMC efficiently. I love meeting with folks and training them. So that's me. And we got with us Brian Wall. Brian, why don't you introduce us to yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Brian Wall. I've been with JMC for about a year and a half. I retired from education at 34 years as a teacher and then middle school, high school administrator at a small school in Western Iowa. Happy to be with the JMC team now, helping schools utilize these fabulous tools.
And Mr. Greg Appleby.
Paul, I am basically a clone of Brian Wall. I started on the same day as him with JMC, so I've been with them for about a year and a half. I also had 34 years in education as a teacher, coach, and administrator, and mine was just in Nebraska other than Iowa. So happy to be with JMC.
Thanks, Greg and Brian. I appreciate it. Today, you can learn what makes JMC so special, like our training team of 20 plus ex-teachers, coaches, and front desk admins from across the Midwest who know what student success looks and feels like. We'll also cover a few tools, but really, this webinar is meant to show you the beauty of a JMC partnership, from flexible train options to same-day support and friendly site visits. And whenever schools are, when I meet with schools who are using JMC or schools who are interested in JMC, I always tell them, we are partners. We want schools to be successful. We want users to be successful. That's why our software works. It does what we say it's going to do. If something's not working correctly, we get right on it. But we want to make sure that's there. And also in the partnership, you get your questions answered in a timely fashion. And those two things, I think, again, lead to partnerships. Most JMC users know at least one or two JMC person on our staff by name, whether it's the client service specialist who visits their school or calls their school, or people who answer the phone, who work with in-program help. So we believe in those partnerships. 20 plus ex-teachers, coaches, and front desk admins from across the Midwest. That's who staffs us here. Back in the 1970s, our founder, John McElmurray, he's wearing the fancy pants there, wasn't thinking about starting a software company. His focus was on continuing his decades-long career teaching high schoolers the ins and outs of math. An interest in computers and a passion for helping others spurred John to build a simple program to automate a tedious front office task. JMC started out in John's basement, so it wasn't long before his family started helping with the business. Today, his son, CEO Bill McElmurray, right in the middle there, is just one of the people who makes JMC feel like one big family as we continue to embody John's can-do spirit and singular dedication to schools. Nearly everyone on the JMC team knows education, not just because we are all students, but because we're all teachers or staff. We've lived in the classroom, and it's why we relate so well to our customers. And there's two of our great programmers there, Matt Berlin and Luke Hartzell. So we got 25 plus modules and apps for you to choose from, all developed in-house. So our system is modular. Think building blocks. So we can build the perfect one for your team and budget. Maybe your school just needs the essentials: attendance, scheduling, and grading. Or maybe you require tools for everyone, from teachers and coaches to lunch service pros. Regardless, JMC has you covered. So I'm going to highlight three and ask our panelists to kind of comment on them. So you can build your JMC toolkit to your heart's desire and budget with a few of our top tools. So first is top tool number one, error-free state reporting. So Greg, I'm going to ask about this in just a second, but accurate, compliant state reporting is key to securing government funding for your school district. At JMC, we pride ourselves on staying up to date with state reporting requirements. Our state reporting module assists schools in sharing data with state agencies in Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and other states utilizing EdFi. So, Greg, how did this help your school, and how does it help current JMC schools? And Brian, I'd like to ask you that as well.
It really saves a lot of time for our schools. I know in Nebraska as a school administrator, basically, if you can work from left to right and top to bottom and be able to use a mouse to be able to click those buttons, you can get your state reporting info done. I just had a school that's new to JMC say how much they enjoyed the first state reporting process that they had here in Nebraska. So saves time, and it's just easy to do.
And Brian, how about your experience in Iowa?
I would echo a lot of what Greg was saying. State reporting as an administrator, I sometimes looked at it as sort of a necessary evil. And I always worked at small schools where people wore a lot of hats. So that the ease at which JMC helped us get our data into the state was really appreciated. We didn't have to spend a lot of time on it. And it was easy to work through those systems, just a real time saver for us.
And we tell schools, if you've got an error, send us that error. Email it to support@jmcinc.com, right? I think one of the keys to state reporting for me is, well, two keys. Number one, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, great training. We have great training for all of our modules, state reporting in particular, and also being able to get your questions answered in a timely fashion. All right, second one here, crystal clear grading with standards and benchmarks. And Brian, I'm going to ask you about this one here because I know this is something that's kind of near and dear to your heart. Just gives schools an assessment option that's customized to their needs. Use the module to set locally defined standards and benchmarks, create and record formative assessments, link assignments to benchmarks to calculate results, and generate standards and benchmark report cards. Now, of course, JMC does standard course grades for middle school and high school, and sometimes elementary schools, right? Math gets a grade, science gets a grade, English gets a grade, but standards and benchmarks grading or goal-based grading or whatever you want to call it is popular and growing in demand in the Midwest. And so, Brian, how do you envision that schools can use these modules, standards and benchmarks, and competency-based grading?
Well, I think, Paul, when a school starts down the path towards standard-based grading or competency-based grading, whatever they want to call it, one of the first things you hear from teachers is, what's my grade book going to look like?
Yeah.
Because teachers need to have a tool that'll allow them to track those assessments and how their students are doing on those. And a standard-based grade book looks different than a traditional grade book. So it was really important. I know at the school I was at, as we started that journey ourselves, we had to have confidence that JMC was going to be able to give our teachers a grade book that they would feel comfortable with, and that they would be able to use as successfully as they were using a traditional grade book. And JMC really has done a great job of building a product that I think does that and continues to evolve with the needs of teachers moving forward.
Yeah, whether it's standards-based grading, standards reference grading, competency-based grading, they're all, in the same hemisphere, right? And we do that. And not only do we do that, I would say two final thoughts I have on this is, if you're a current JMC client watching this or a prospective one, number one is we help you create your own custom report card, especially for the elementary and sometimes middle school. We've got a forms team that can send you examples, and then they help you create the form. You don't need to create it on your own. Second, if your school has some teachers that want to dip their toe into standards-based grading, this competency-based grading module is the go-to piece. We've got great videos online. We can support you along the way. But if you're like, well, I've got two teachers in our high school, we've got the Phi Ed teacher and we've got the math teacher, and they want to do standards-based grading. What do we got to do to get it set up? Well, have them watch a video, have them set up a Q&A session. They can start that today. It doesn't need to be a district-wide decision top down from the school board. People can start to do it right now. Third thing is flexible messaging with the message center. And Greg, I'm going to ask you about this in a moment. With our fully integrated voice, email, and text messaging module, not only can you communicate with parents and students effortlessly, but you can also contact specific groups by grade level, activity, course, and even bus number. Families can even choose their preferred language for receiving school communication. When I ask a lot of schools, especially administrators, what's your number one feature? This is it. Why do you think that is, Greg?
Well, because it's easy to use. Communication is huge in a school. And I know as an administrator, and then I was also the athletic director, I used it all the time to get messages out to our community, to our parents, and all of our supporters of our school. So it's just a great deal. And then it also helps you, as I'm looking at it, I see the bus route there. And rather than to send a message out if one bus has a flat tire, send it to everybody. We can send it just to that bus. Say, hey, bus number 3 had a flat tire. It's being fixed. Kids are going to be 20 minutes late today. And it just really makes your school run smooth.
Yeah, it's no lie. I was at the School Administrators of Iowa conference. It's been a few years now, 2 or 3 years. And I had a superintendent tell me, JMC is worth its whole price just for the ability to text and voice message people on a specific route bus number. And I thought, absolutely. So I appreciate that. So Dixie Pingle at Underwood says, I do everything on JMC. Our school is small, so secretaries do it all. Attendance, lunch, registration, state reporting, discipline, notifying parents, and so on. Without JMC, any one of these things would consume my time. I cannot imagine a day without JMC. So other schools just need an app or two We support that too. We've got some great apps. We've got apps to meet your needs. Carrie Johnson, as a principal at Parkers Prairie High School, says, as an administrator, I'm particularly grateful for the apps. The administrative and coaches app are an easy way to keep up to date with anything from attendance to messaging. So for either of you guys, is there a feature in either the coach activity app or the administrator app that you thought was super helpful?
Paul, for me, the ability to put that database in my pocket, because I wasn't always at my desk. I was out in the hallway or I was at an activity and something would happen and I would maybe need to get a hold of a student's parents, to have all of that information that's saved in JMC in my pocket on my phone was really tremendous. And those pictures that you can see on the slide, that was always big too, to be able to pull up the picture of a student. You're looking for somebody, I'm looking for this student, you could show somebody. It was just a really powerful tool.
Absolutely.
And I would echo that as well, Paul. My previous district, we had the elementary building was about, I would say maybe 100 yards away from the high school building. I was the principal of both, but if I could take my phone with me and go to the elementary building, we had an emergency, we needed to contact parents. I didn't have my laptop, we were on the playground, etc. I could bring it up right there and get that contact information that I needed at that time. So that app is really beneficial.
Yeah, and that's just a great app for any administration. The coach activity app is really stellar as well, especially as we get into our large schools. You got, 1,500 kids in your high school and you've got coaches, some work at the school, some don't work at the school. That allows your coaches to have access to students' contact information. It's all tracked within the JMC office database. So nobody's sending private messages. They can see which kids are absent from school that day. So it really helps people to manage their teams and see which kids might have skipped school that day and that should not be at practice. So that's a really handy tool there as well. All right, floor is yours. Does anybody have any questions about any of our 25 plus modules or apps? If you've got a question, you can type it in now and we can answer that. So for any of our current JMC users that might be watching this, trying to sow some seeds of things that you should be using, right? Myself and Brian and Greg and all of our CSS folks, client service specialists, visit schools on a regular basis, and schools have trouble keeping up to date on all the latest and greatest JMC things. That's why we visit schools. We try to bring up some features that are coming up for you that you should be looking at to help save your staff time, because that's what it's about, right? That's what apps are for, saving time. Don't have to go back to my computer and so on. So I don't see any questions, but we'll keep on rolling here. All right, you can receive unlimited complimentary training and support from our experts. Support for any users. We get that running. A school district is expensive. That's why we give all JMC clients access to everything they need to be successful for free, with unlimited access to 6+ training options to meet each team member's preferred learning style. So we have 6 different ways that we train people. Again, all of them are free. So support for any users. This is one thing that's different about JMC than I think every other SIS in the Midwest. Anybody can reach out. And so I tell JMC schools all the time, oh, I've got a teacher's got a question, have them contact Tech Support. I've got some teachers, we have 5 new teachers need training. I'll say, hey, have them watch this video, then set up a Q&A session, right? We got all kinds of things here. So first off, we've got a new user playlist on YouTube with 24+ videos for all modules. That's just the new user playlist. If you go to YouTube and you search JMC training, you'll see this page right here. We've got, I don't know, how many applicable videos do we have right now? 200 maybe. I'm kind of taking a stab in the dark there, but for our new users, man, you could go there and you can see what we have. If you've got a new user at your school, they should be watching a JMC video. You don't need to train them. Let the JMC team do that. We've got a treasure trove of JMC how-to articles in our help center. We've got a help center accessible to anybody. Again, you can type in a topic. It brings up a help center. We are constantly updating those. In-person and virtual trainings, including several state reporting sessions to ensure required submissions go off without a glitch. If you're a public school, we've got that state reporting sessions in August every year. We usually do them in conjunction with the Department of Ed in that area. We also have virtual trainings on virtually any part of JMC, and we do in-person. It's not as common anymore because of these things like Zooms and webinars. Somebody says, oh, I need training on this. Can you come out in 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Like, let's do it right now. Let's hop on for a half an hour and get your questions answered. And we got Q&As to answer your most burning questions, whether it's through a webinar like this or to set up Q&A sessions. So I think, and then one-on-one customer care. Our client service specialists, that's who I have on the line here, team is comprised of principals, office folks, and superintendents who have a passion for helping users get the most out of JMC software. Reach out to your CSS for tech support questions, to facilitate training opportunities, or for any help you need. You guessed it, there's no additional cost for reaching out to your CSS. Now, Greg and Brian, you both have been visiting schools and calling schools over the last month, because we do that in the fall. What are some takeaways that you have? Like, first of all, do you enjoy it? What do you enjoy about it? And what do you think schools get out of it? From either a phone call or an in-person visit?
Paul, I'll go first. I just think they really enjoy that JMC cares about their clients and their schools and helping them out. So I really enjoy visiting them. We made a change this year that we kind of emailed them ahead of time and told them we were going to be coming. So when we came, they had a few things that they like to be able to have that contact and just show them a few things about JMC or answer any questions they have. And even had an administrative assistant at a new school this year. She kind of told me privately, she said, I have so much more time in my hands because JMC saves her so much time in the way that she was doing things previously. So it's good having that personal contact with our schools.
Yeah. Brian?
No, I think that our customers really appreciate that our team, like you said, is made up of former school people. We've walked in their shoes. We've done the things that they're doing. So there's some instant credibility that comes when we get to talk to them. And we understand what the issues that they're facing in their schools. So I think they appreciate that.
Absolutely. And it helps to build that partnership up as well. We have no farmed out, tiered out, giving you the runaround support here. Our team is made up of actual live folks based in Lake City, Minnesota, ready to provide the help you need quickly. Just how fast? You can expect replies within 24 hours, and 99.9% of the time, we can resolve the issue that day. Requesting support's easy. There's email, phone, and in-app support help options, including 24/7 chat. Just like with training, tech support is 100% complimentary, no extra charges or hidden fees there as well. We tell folks, again, we'll get back to you within 24 hours. We're typically back to you within 10 or 20 minutes most days. It's busier in August. I tell folks, new schools are coming back, but within hours. And I think what people appreciate most is a live person is there to help answer your questions. If you can't find it yourself, lots of people use the help center. Lots of people watch videos and say something like, I think very common, our tech support says, hey, I watched the video on processing free and reduced forms in the lunch module. I've got this quick question about kids who are direct cert. And they'll send that message to us and we'll send it back to them or call them or whatever it might be. So it's really helpful in that way. And I like that we don't charge for it because we want people to be educated. That's part of the partnership, right? I want to walk to schools and be able to say, you can get the training that you need. Paula Jensen from Elgin says, the best part of working with JMC is the friendly staff. They're only a phone call or email away and respond so quickly. Any staff member can contact tech support as needed too. So she likes that. So if anybody has any questions about our tech support, how is our training support? How is it the training support you receive now? So for our current clients, if there's any on here, is there anything that you want to add to it or any questions? You sure can do that. I think, at the end of the day, and if folks want to type a question, they can, or a comment. At the end of the day, the beauty is that you get a response. I talk to some folks who come to JMC from other SISs, and other SISs have their pluses and negatives. I appreciate that, but I do think we stand out in our tech support. And people will say, they'll say, oh, with our other SIS, teachers can contact tech support, but they might not get a response back for 2 or 3 or 4 days or ever. For us, the priority is answering people's questions because it keeps you moving, right? We want to keep you moving throughout the day to be able to do your job efficiently. So, all right, we'll keep on rolling. And that, folks, is why we're trusted by 1,000+ schools and districts across the Midwest. That's right. Over 1,000 schools, big and small, from districts to dioceses, have chosen us and as their software partner because we have the team, the tools, and training they need to be successful. And many have been with us for decades. Heidi Thorstensen, way up in Northwest Minnesota, says, I've been in the educational technology field since 1995 and can honestly say that JMC has been the best student information system to work with. Their training and technical support are superior to their competitors. Well, thank you, Heidi. And Carl Menk in South Central Minnesota that leads the high school Tri-City United, where my father went to school, actually in Montgomery, Minnesota, says, I highly recommend JMC to any school district. Their commitment to excellence in product growth and customer service has kept our school district at a JMC customer for over 37 years, which is quite amazing. The floor is yours. How long have you been with your current student information system? So if anyone wants to chime in, they can. Brian and Greg, Brian, you start, and then Greg, you guys kind of an interesting story about how you came to be using JMC. But Brian, how long was your school using JMC for? Do you have any idea?
I would say that probably over 30 years. I remember when I started teaching at a little district called IKM. It wasn't very long into my teaching career when we first joined JMC, and then I actually went from IKM to a neighboring district as an administrator, and they were using something else. I couldn't even tell you what it was, and that was one of the first things that I recommended when I changed to that district, and they switched to JMC. So off and on for over 30 years.
Wow.
Districts that I've been affiliated with.
And Greg, you were with a district that was using JMC, and then you merged with another district, right?
We did, and even before that, when we were looking for a student information system, a neighboring district had it, and we actually came and listened to you give a presentation, and kind of felt that JMC really fit the needs that we had as a smaller district. And then when we transitioned, consolidated into a bigger school district with two other districts, we took a look at the different ones we had, and JMC we really thought was a great fit for us. And so they had a brand new school district with a brand new building and everything, and they're using JMC and loving it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great. 100% success rate of onboarding and training means your team won't skip a beat. 30, that's the number of clients we take on per year. JMC works closely with new clients to map out a custom onboarding plan, including a data migration training schedule, taking district, school, and building level needs into consideration so that no detail or team member gets lost in the shuffle. By capping how many schools, districts, and dioceses we take each year, we're able to provide one-to-one customer care that clients count on us for and deserve. And that's important. We want to make sure, I always tell folks, there are always bumps on the road switching to new SIS, but it's never as hard as you think it's going to be. People think, oh my gosh, it's just going to be monumental. It's just going to take so much. It doesn't actually take as much time as you think. Are there challenges? Sure. They really come down to just learning a new system. But with our data migration, all those things, it's in that one-on-one customer care, that's what's important there. So the floor is yours. How important is hands-on training for your staff when it comes to learning a new student information system? We've got quite a quiet crowd. We have some attendees here. I haven't got anything, but if there's any questions you have about training for staff when it comes to learning a student information system, whether you're new to JMC or you've been using JMC, is there anything how important is that to you? And Brian and Greg, what do you think? How important is it for you guys as a client service specialist to be able to train people when you go to schools?
Well, I think it's one of the more valuable services we provide to our schools. Both Greg and I served on the onboarding team for new schools this summer. And those are really rewarding sessions to be able to sit down with administrators, secretaries, nurses, and eventually even teachers on site to introduce them to JMC and train them in the various modules and portals. And that level of service, I think, is unique to JMC.
And I would echo what Brian said. And the thing that I think is really important is we cater what the training is to the right people. So when we're doing the training for attendance, for example, we make sure that those administrative assistants are the ones that are dealing with it hands-on every day, and we train them in that process. And if it's a health module, we're training the school nurse or the administrative assistant that maybe puts that information into their system. So the right people get trained at the right time and at the right speed to give them information so they're able to take it and use it.
Great. Absolutely. All right. JMC news and upcoming events. Beep, beep. We're coming to a trade show near you. There's an Iowa Association of School Boards convention on 11/20. That's actually yesterday and today. State Principals Conference in Nebraska on 12/4. Myself and Greg Appleby will be there. Slate in the Wisconsin Dells on 12/9. And the dates just keep coming. If you're attending, JMC trainers Paul and Jake would love to catch up with you at our booth for a full rundown. You can watch on the road with a JMC webinar. We also have some great ones come up in January in Minnesota and also Wisconsin at their school board trade shows or conferences. Refer a friend, get a $1,000 scholarship. That's right. Now through March 2025, for every school you refer to JMC that signs up for a software, we'll give you each a $1,000 scholarship for your district. To top it off, our team will throw a piping hot pizza party. Reach out to sales@jmcinc.com. On behalf of myself and the JMC team, thanks for your time today, and thanks for looking at JMC.